Hi, this is Optimus Primal, and this is Silverbolt's Transformer Review.
Morning everybody, Silverbolt here, back for a Transformers review, going to be doing, as per the title page, Animated Rodimus. Now, Animated Rodimus Prime is, obviously he's a Prime, as per the name obviously, so he is a higher ranking echelon within the Elite Guard. Now, unlike the other Primes that we meet in Animated, namely Sentinel, who is of course just an idiot, and an arrogant idiot at that, but still one of the funniest characters in the entire series, and Optimus, who's, well, let's face it, Optimus Prime is where he is because he's considered to be a bit of a loser. Rodimus, on the other hand, well, Rodimus is just awesome in every way. He is a hand-to-hand combat master. He has an awesomely cool weapon in the form of an Energon bow. He's a very good strategician. He's very charismatic. He's well loved by his men, and he makes a very, very good leader. He's practically perfect. So yes, Animated Rodimus Prime is the Mary Poppins of Transformers. And when it was first known that he was coming into Animated, a lot of the fandom basically went, "Ooh!" And there was quite a lot of hype surrounding the entrance of Rodimus Prime into Animated. And we were actually thinking, you know what, and he was introduced as this kick-ass character. He was introduced as another Jazz or another Prowl. And people were really, really up on the idea that we were going to get a Rodimus Prime who, well, unlike his incarnation in Energon, was a douche. So, for all you preteens out there who don't know what the word douche means, it's not very nice, and I don't suggest you say it to your mother. But anyway, so we're really looking forward to the episode of Transwarp, which we knew was the opening air series for Series 3 of Animated, where Rodimus Prime would come in and kick ass, and he did. For 5 minutes. Yes! Despite the fact that Rodimus Prime was heralded as the new Captain America, despite the fact that Rodimus Prime was confirmed as having Judd Nelson, the Brat Pack, Mr. Hot Rod from the '86 movie himself, was reprising his role as Rodimus, was coming into it, we got 5 minutes of action and then didn't see him again apart from 2 seconds at the very end of Series 3. Right. Okay. Thank you. Now, it starts off really well. There's a big action scene. There's a big action scene with Hotshot, Brawn, and Ironhide, and somebody else whose name escapes you. Red Alert. Thank you. That's it. You know, and Ironhide does his X-Men I'm going to turn silver mode, and Brawn basically looking an awful lot like his G1 counterpart, complete with dome head. It's just, you know, they're kicking ass, and then Rodimus comes in when he's got his Energon bow, and he's firing off here and he's firing off there, and he's bouncing and he's twisting and he's bouncing, he's twisting, and then by the end of the battle, which has seen Hotshot get his leg ripped off and then pretty much blown up, which, in all fairness, let's face it, no one really cared about because no one liked Armada Hotshot. He was irritating, and he you know, Armada Hotshot, you know, had the #1 spot for most irritating Transformer ever until we got Ironhide and Energon. But there we go. And then eventually Rodimus, being the great, big, noble hero that he is, does a very valiant last man standing routine where he's basically outnumbered, knowing he's going to die, but decides to sell his life valiantly. He will go down fighting. He will not disgrace the Autobot cause. And then Oil Slick throws a vial of cosmic rust at him. And even then, he is still fighting and he is still trying as much as possible. And if I talk like this much more, I'm going to soil myself. And then he just falls over. And that's pretty much it. And we're back to the numpties back on Earth. So, despite all the hype and despite all the accolade beforehand, I personally feel that Rodimus Prime's entrance into the world of Animated was one of the biggest letdowns of the series. Mainly because he didn't come back into it again. You know, he was voiced by Judd Nelson. God knows how much they paid him. I think actually The Rock in Transformers Prime got more lines than animated Rodimus. So, in all fairness, they would have had to pay The Rock a lot more, because let's face it, it's Judd Nelson and The Rock. So, he didn't get to do an awful lot after that. Well, scratch that, he didn't do a lot after that at all, simply because he got 2 seconds where he was at the very end of Series 3 and waving like this. Great. However, the fascination with animated Rodimus didn't end there. We wanted the toy. We wanted the toy of Rodimus Prime. However, Hasbro cancelled the line, so it was never put into major production. So we had to wait a lot longer for a Rodimus Prime toy than we should have done, which just made us all want him even more. But then the Japanese, being the delightful people that they are, decided they were going to bring him out anyway. So we got a Rodimus, and then we both got a Henke Rodimus, and we got a Hasbro Rodimus. Now, his toy, which of course is this thing, it's the deluxe, and he has a very, very very similar to his G1 format, that of a futuristic racing muscle car, or sports car, or supercar, or whichever way you want to call it. Either way, it's a sexmobile. Now then, transforming it, it's similar to Blur in some of the ways that you have to fold and clip things into place. My God, it's really snowing again outside. Blooming heck. Glad I got my Christmas shopping done. So anyway, transforming him, pull out the boat, which I'll get to, and then you've got to do the kind of like, you know, like when you first get a big chocolate bar, you can't open the chocolate, you can't eat the whole chocolate bar itself, so you've got to kind of like just snap it and pull it slightly out of place. And this is just the way that I do it. So you pull out his arms from the back, and then I just get his feet, from underneath the bonnet. A lot harder job when you don't have nails. I'll push the things in on his legs. And then make an uber mess of it, which is currently what I'm doing. There we go, there's one leg. There's 2 legs. So you know what, I'm making a right dog's dinner of this. Twist at the waist, standard. Flip his muscle car sticky out engine around so that you get the Autobot symbol. Push the front wheels in. By the way, there are far better reviews for transforming this guy other than mine. Pull him down, and then you need to push on the blue thing up here. You need to push this into place, and this is very reminiscent of the animated Blur toy, where the legs were the opposite ends of the body and you had to push and snip and flick it back into place. However, unlike Blur, this guy is much more almost kind of job. Do the usual of flick the hands out in animated toys, and then the last thing you'll need to do is snap the legs. And I literally mean snap them, because they go, and you'll hear a clink. And then of course do the last bit, which is push the waist into place. Okay. Oh, and then of course you've got the fin, which you'll need to fiddle and twiddle and mess around with till it pokes up. And there we have animated Rodimus, a toy that everybody has been wanting to get for an awful long time. Now I picked this up at Memorabilia, so this is actually the Henke release. I know, very weird for me because I don't usually bother with Henke, but the reason I picked up the Henke at Memorabilia over the Hasbro one was this was a £5 cheaper. This was 20 quid. whereas the Hasbro one was 25. So, you know, Henke cheaper than to Hasbro? I don't quite get that. And the real difference is his red, his maroon is a lot more metallic. Yeah, it's a metallic base on the red than it is on the Hasbro version, which is just matte. And I actually think it's actually quite a much nicer change. Much nicer change. You'll have to excuse the even worse lighting than usual, but because I don't have great bulbs in the ceiling, and because it's snowing outside, so the light's terrible anyway. So hopefully, if my hints and tips have been observed, I will be getting a camera for Christmas. But anyway, so you have animated Rodimus here, and he is very, very nice. That's a startling review, Simon. That's worthy of an award. That is. He's nice. I'll get to him, because first I want to talk about this. I love this. I love this. This is Rodimus's Hank the Ranger from Dungeons and Dragons Energy Bow. Dual action missile launchers, obviously, popping out like that, and the other one as well. Thankfully, it's actually still the spring-loaded missile launcher, and not that really awful, that's startlingly becoming the norm, push out the back. Because I imagine a 10-year-old would break their sloth of the thumb trying to push the missiles out the back of some of those things. And it clips very much in his quite easily into his hand, so that you've got the dual firing missile launchers, and then you've got the hand clip here, which does fit to the back of his vehicle mode. And you can just clip the bow into the hands at some point relatively easily. There we go. And because of the articulation on the toy, you can make it so that he is doing a Robin Hood action pose. The toy itself, very, very poseable. You've got good articulation in the shoulders, wrists, knees, thighs. No, that's an elbow, not a knee. I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, waist, knees, ankles, head swivels up, but doesn't look down because I've got this chin thing here. So there we go. Rodimus is an excellent addition to the animated line. Quite possibly my favourite toy next to Leader Class Megatron, who is just brilliant. And he's a lovely, lovely toy, and I think part of it, the reason why I like him so much, is because we were all waiting so long for him. I mean, I do remember seeing him at AA. I know Matt had one in Grimmy, and we were all like, "You bastard! If you weren't so big and scary, we'd probably try and hurt you for this toy." For those of you who have met Grimmy, he's an absolutely lovely bloke, but A, he's a chef, and B, he's fucking huge. Hi Matt, by the way. How you doing, mate? Have a good Christmas. Anyway, but yeah, so we waited an awful long time for the toy, far longer than we should have done. Some people paying absolutely extortionate prices for a deluxe Transformer. Absolutely ridiculous. I think if ever there was a toy that was going to get a cheap Chinese knockoff, this one would sell like hotcakes, because people wanted the toy so badly. And it was the same with RC, you know, animated RC, who I also have, who people will want but didn't get. And it's really quite a shame that it took so long for us to get such an excellent toy. I do feel that Rodimus was one of those characters that was very underused, considering his hype and considering how much the fans really like him. It'll be interesting to see if the Japanese animated will make more from him, if the Japanese will give us the Series 4 that we all want. Because Transformers Animated was a good cartoon, it was a good series. Okay, it had its elements that were truly annoying, like the human villains, which looked like something out of a Teen Titans episode. But it was a very, very good series, and Rodimus was a great character that was marketed really well. He was marketed as the uber hero of the Transformers Animated, next to the likes of Magnus and Jazz. That frankly didn't get enough done with him. He didn't. And he should have had a lot more done with him, and that is one of the crying shames about Animated, is that we didn't get as much as we should have done from Rodimus. Animated itself shouldn't have ended. It shouldn't have ended. But what do we know? You know, Hasbro don't listen to us, so... Well, they do, in all fairness, because they eventually released him. So, there we go. You know, Hasbro do some really good things, but Hasbro do some really sucky things as well. Getting your hands on an Energon Rodimus now, he's still a decent price on things like Kapow toys, but if you go on eBay, it'll cost you a fortune. Probably the most expensive Rodimus there is outside of the G1. So, okay, but that's my review of Energon Rodimus done, mainly because I've got something in my eye. There we go. That's my review of Energon Rodimus. I can only apologise for the lighting. It does seem exceptionally bad, even for one of my videos. Hopefully, as I said, if the hints and tips have been observed, that should change over Christmas. But yes, for now, this is Silverbolt with Animated Rodimus Prime, with his bow! Signing off saying au revoir, adios, have a good day.